right, guys, top of the morning. Happy December 17th, coming to you alive, coming to you well, coming to you grateful. You guys mean the world to me because this is where everything started from coaching, and to see what has happened outside of our team and how Keep It Moving is growing. We had an event yesterday. It was sold out, wall to wall, standing room only. We exceeded. We didn't sell tickets, but it was Eventbrite. But it was just cool to see how this environment here has carried over state to state to state. And so I just wanted to begin this by saying thank you. Thank you for being here, for allowing me to be your coach, for being in this space with me, for allowing me to do my thing, to share my thoughts and my perspective and my vantage point about life, business, health, relationships. I just want to say thank you guys because it means the world to me. This is the foundation of everything that has been built in my coaching world. And so I just want to say thank you. I'm really, really grateful for all the opportunities. Look at this, you guys. How crazy is this? Somebody bought me Keep It Moving branded shoes. What? I got shoes that have my logo on them. So you guys, I'm just full of gratitude today. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here, for being a part of this platform. And I'm really excited to share some thoughts and some energy with you guys today. So let's go ahead and get rolling. Per usual, I always have somebody bring us out on the field, set the tone, set the sentiment. And that person is going to be Jess Bling. Jess Bling, you are middle of the screen. You got your big hair on today. So my friend, I'm going to go over to you. I'm going to have you bring us out on the field, set the tone, set the energy. So let's go, my friend. Go ahead and take the mic and let's roll.
Not my big hair got me on camera. Okay. Well, I feel like it's going to be a little redundant to what I just said. I feel like a lot of us have ADHD and we look for, like you said, the new shiny thing. And we're always trying to figure out ways to kind of get away from the thing that's boring that we need to do. And through spending a lot of money in masterminds, the most common thing that I've heard is the gift is in the boring shit. The gift is in the follow-up. The gift is in the repetition. Whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to build your business, whatever it is, it's showing up and doing that thing every day and not faltering from it because you get bored. Something that's been incredibly life-changing for me is figuring out ways to create dopamine for myself. Instead of getting distracted by doing something else, I'll take myself to a cute little coffee shop and I'll buy myself a croissant or like a cute little pastry after I've done my lead generation. I've also been incredibly intentional about connecting with a couple of agents to have our own accountability throughout the week because I want to be around people that are at my level or greater. And I want to be able to add something and contribute just like they do. So we're showing up. We're not talking about, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? It's no, what the fuck did you do this week? Last week you said you were going to do this. So like that gives me dopamine and it gives me a body double and helps me get things like the harder things done. So anyway, just falling in love with the process and figuring out ways to kind of manipulate my low dopamine brain to do the things that are the hardest, that are going to take my business to the next level. I have a really great database that I never call. I can get a crap ton of leads, but I have a database full of, I don't know, I told Patrick, a few hundred people that have emails and phone numbers. I don't even call once a year. That is shameful and embarrassing. How can I possibly tell God and myself that I want to double my business next year when I'm literally in a rat race of just trying to get more leads when I need to get more leads, but also follow up. So anyways, I digress, but just fall in love with the process, do the boring shit, bribe yourself. For those of you that really have ADHD, figure out ways to create the dopamine for yourself, put yourself in environments that excite you and get your shit done.
God, I absolutely love this. Absolutely love this. So you guys, and I appreciate you, Jess. Thank you for always hitting home with your messaging. I wanted to ask you guys a question, and it's a question around legacy. Before we get into anything about the market, I think oftentimes when we think about the word legacy, we think about the word legacy as if when we are gone. Right. And I want you guys to really think about what your legacy is while you're here. You see, if we have our children, we're able to see that legacy, but also in the people that are in our environment, right? The things that you guys are teaching other people, the things that you learned here, I look at it, that's part of my legacy. And I thought about this when I was hosting an event yesterday. Here I am hosting an event sold out in a state that I do not live in. and I have my co-host, which is my coach. And for her to be able to see me doing my thing, and we run completely different coaching programs. She has Play Bigger, I have Keep It Moving, but like the legacy that she helped me build this, and she helped, encourage me and inspired me to be a coach. She's sitting in the room and saying, you know what? I had a part in that. It's really, really cool to see. And so I want you guys to think about the legacy that you're leaving with your consumers, with your leads, with your people, with your children, with your significant others. Like the legacy is built now. It's not something that you're going to leave behind. Now, obviously, my hope is that it lives on and lives on, but I really want you guys to think about your legacy and what you guys are building. I also want you to think about this in the context of really growing and achieving in 2026. Like, who do you need to be? And I've said this time and time again, like you can say you're going to have $250,000 in the bank account. You could say that you're going to make X amount of money, but my friends, it is really important that you land on who you need to be in order to have that type of money, right? When you think about the money that you're going to make in 2026, you have to ask yourself, well, how does a top performer show up? Right? How does a top performer show up in a very, very competitive market? What are the disciplines that these top performers have to instill? What is the focus that I need to have in order to have $250,000 in my bank account? And then go a little bit further. As a top performer, what are the type of habits that I need to have in regards to saving, spending, calculating, measuring, bookkeeping? What are the things that I need to put in place in order for me to be able to have that type of money? Do I have a structure? Do I have a system? Because what happens if we don't have a structure and a system and we don't know who we need to be, and we're not conscious about it, and we're not conscious about money and all things associated with money, what we're going to do is we're going to find every way to fuck that money off. You see, that's not what I want for you guys. I want you guys to find an ability in 2026, not just to make the money, but how can I start making that money and start investing it? Maybe it's stocks, bonds, annuities. Maybe it's your insurance plan, your life insurance plan. Maybe it's some type of other investment. Maybe you and 5 friends on a call from Keep It Moving invest in a property that you guys can start making a little bit of money off. Maybe you own 10% of it, Jess. Maybe Aaron owns 10% of it. But shit, I would rather you guys own 10% of an investment property versus 0. Can you take a $30,000 commission check and put a fraction of that into an investment property that you bought with 5 people, 10 people on this call, where you guys all own a little chunk? You see, I want you guys to start thinking about these things. Think about the legacy that you're leaving while you are living. And I also want you to think about the wealth that you are building in 2026. And then I want you guys to think about who do you need to become in order to be a walking embodiment of all the things that you want to create in 2026. When you think about yourself as a top producer, $250,000 in your bank account, leverage, you got assistants, you got, showing agents, you got VAs. What does that actually look like? How do you need to show up? Whoever that is, can you mute yourself, please, pretty please? Let me find that person. Founder. You have to ask yourself, who do I need to be? And so much of what we do in this business comes back to our identity. Do you have an identity? And are you a walking embodiment? You have the behaviors, the habits, the skills to be that top producer? Or are you just going to be somebody that gets that money? And then we look at the end of the year and you don't have your taxes in alignment. You don't have a bookkeeper. You don't have taxable income that's less than what you actually make because you have an S Corp, an LLC. You have tax advantages. And so these are the things that I want you guys to think about. As we move into 2026, this is all about you guys creating something that is going to build and build for many years. And here's what I don't want. I don't want any of you to get sick on this call and you're not able to go out there and sell real estate. And then if that's the only way that you're building wealth right now in real estate, what do? Well, everything is dependent on you, my friends. The energy, the effort, you going out, showing homes, going on listing appointments. Well, what if something, God forbid, happened to you? Right? What if you hurt your foot like Otis did? What if something happened to your voice and you didn't have a voice to be able to speak? Like, what happens? You see, as we grow and as we build and we're thinking about wealth and we're thinking about our finances, we need to also be thinking about how are we diversifying? How can I take this money that I'm making, put it into other sources, build that money, buy more income properties, or at least be a part of an income property, even if it's a fraction of. So God forbid something happens to me, my life, my family is okay. And I want you guys to think about those things. So legacy, think about your finances and wealth in 2026, and then ask yourself that question. Really ask yourself that question. Who do I need to be in 2026 to be able to have these goals that I'm setting for myself and be able to achieve those goals? Does that make sense, everybody? Any thoughts, contribution, dialogue on that vein? I would love to hear from you guys. I would love to get some insight and some thoughts for you guys. Feel free to take yourself off of mute and let's just have a conversation. You guys, anybody have anything? Going once? Going twice? All right, cool. I knew some of these hands would go up. Patrick, it's okay, bro. You don't need your ears warm. It's all about style. Let's go, Patrick.
You see it, you know what I mean? In that vein of topic, it's funny because I don't know if it's an AI Jim Rohn or something, but I was listening to this, motivation stuff this morning, and he said one of the necessary emotions someone has to feel in order to actually level up and reach a higher power is disgust. You got to be disgusted by your own self. You got to look in the mirror and be like, that's enough. Like, am I happy in my place right now? And if not, then shoot, you got to level up. You got to do the things you got to do. But going back, reeling it back, it's like it's impossible for you to truly grow if you're not doing it for yourself and if it's not, a very authentic reason.
Yeah. And you know what? I absolutely love that, Patrick, because obviously, I don't drink alcohol, but, you'll see somebody that has a problem, or maybe it's, some other vice, and like every single person around them will tell them, oh, listen, man, you're slipping, this and that. But until that person realizes that I'm disgusted with the way that I'm showing up in this life, and they make that conscious choice on their own, they'll never change. They'll never change. And so I want to go back to this, you guys. And I shared this the other day, but in case you were not on this call, I'm going to share this one more time with everybody, and feel free to share your vantage point on this and your narrative on this. But I'm going to put this up on the screen, and then Jess Bling, I'm coming right back over to you. I want you guys to remember this. And I know we did an abbreviated session. I want to thank Blessing once again for helping out and being here as support for Keep It Moving. But who you've been this year got you here. And I want you to be very, very conscious with what this actually means. So if you were consistent, if you had discipline, if you made your calls, if you worked the database, worked on your systems, then cool. Congratulations, you've had a dope year. Well, on the other side of that, if your business is not where it is, there's so many gaps, there's inefficiencies, there's inadequacies, that's on you, my friends. And so who you choose to be next decides everything. The version that needs to show up next, you have to evaluate that and be like, man, what does that version look like for me in 2026? Because like Patrick said, maybe it's just a real come to Jesus conversation and saying, you know what? I don't fucking like the woman in the mirror. I don't like the man in the mirror. I know that aesthetically, maybe I look good, but internally there's some things that are not congruent, and I'm not happy with always saying I'm going to do something and not following through. Shit, I'm disgusted with that. Man, that's a really, really good metaphor, and I really appreciate that vantage point. So let's go to Jess Bling. Jess Bling, what do you got for us? And we'll go to Jessica Segura Hernandez here with her camera on, my friend. Good to see you. Let's go.
Hi, Jessica. Okay, so I literally just did this exercise. It's crazy. Actually, it's not crazy. This is all alignment in God. I'm telling you. I want you guys to follow me real quick. We can bullshit ourselves as people. But when you look at yourself in the fucking mirror and the thoughts that you think tie into the world that's around you and the life that you've created, good or bad. Mm. Our nervous systems are literally designed to keep us safe. So when you think of your internal thoughts and you think of your nervous system, keeping you safe means you don't do the thing. That very thing that you're running from, which is what I had to tell myself, is the very thing that's going to take you to the next version of yourself. And then it won't be so scary. But those internal thoughts that you sit with, only you know what those are. And I literally just did a pro of my personality, because ADHD people are the shit. Thanks, Michael. ADHD people are the shit. We are creative as fuck. We get shit done. We can hyper focus. However, Again, the boring stuff. So anyways, I wrote down, here are the great things about my personality. Here are the not so great things about my personality. What are the things that I think of when I look at myself in the mirror? When I think of my goals, honestly, and sit with myself and I say, you know what? I didn't lead generate like I was supposed to last week.
Mm.
I fucked up. I was supposed to call this person and then tried so hard to figure out what the fuck to say to them that I just didn't call them. I was just listening to Layla Hormozi yesterday, and she said, if it takes 5 minutes or less, do it now. Doesn't matter what the fuck it is. If it's a follow-up call and you're like, oh, I need to talk to my lender and pick up the phone and call. Figure it the fuck out. So anyways,
Wow.
I don't want to preach to you guys. I just had to share. I literally wrote this shit in my journal. The pros about me, the cons about me, who I am when I look in the mirror, and the internal thoughts that I have. So I had to share because I was so compelled when Coach was like, yeah, you know, your legacy. Like, I struggle with my why because my parents are dead. I don't have grandparents. I don't have a lot of family. It's just me and my dog. I don't have a partner. I don't have children. So I'm like, fuck, when people think about their why, I hear all this great shit about, oh, I'm going to do this for my family. I'm going to do this for my family. Yesterday was a true testament of why I am my why.
Wow.
I am my why. I care about me. I still have to live here. Rather, I have close family or friends. You know what I mean? Like, and Coach, you talking about what the fuck happens? I just had this conversation with myself the other day. What happens if I get sick? I need living life insurance. You know what I mean? Like, I got to start investing in this shit, and that shit requires money. Yesterday, being able to go work and then take Ophelia to an igloo and have quality time, and then to go with Hector to do a dance class and eat ceviche on a random ass fucking Tuesday, that shit requires money. That is my why. That shit fulfills me. I woke up this morning like, fuck yeah, I'm going to hop on this coaching call. I'm going to get my lead generation done. After we're done here, I'm going to the gym. Like, I'm on fire right now because I'm like, that is all tuned into my why. But it takes you to literally sit with the ugliest fucking parts of yourself and be honest. Stop fucking lying to yourself. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Go ahead, Jess. Listen, you guys. Let's get love, light. There's just a reason. There's a reason why Jess is here. There's a reason why you are here in this moment, hearing this message, right? When we're talking about reflection, I want you guys to reflect on your business, your systems, operational efficiencies. That's all good and well, but you need to check your own OS, your own operating system, and you need to oftentimes have a reboot. You need to update your software. Oftentimes you're living off of old standards, inherited beliefs, society beliefs, things that people put on you that you carry that are no longer a part of the identity and how you see yourself. And oftentimes how people see you might be a totally different version of how you sit with yourself when no one else is looking. You see, I want people to be able to be like, well, you see me as confident? Why? Because I am confident. I feel good about myself. I'm whole. But oftentimes we white knuckle through this business. When you can have alignment and when you're true to yourself and you're honest with yourself, all things start to come full circle. And so I really appreciate your vantage point on this, Jess. And I think that spending that time with yourself, you see, for me, my why is me as well. You know, I have 4 kids, and we have a child on the way, and I have a beautiful wife. We have an amazing household. That's not my why, because listen, I didn't know those people my whole life. I'm certainly glad that they are in my life now, but I didn't know them. You see, my why goes back to 1992 to a 12-year-old boy. And it's me now as an adult, like reaching my hand out saying, it's all right. I got you. We're okay. And that's my why, is that little boy, that 12-year-old boy that didn't have anything. My family's a catalyst. They're an ignition for all the things that I do, but they're certainly not the why. It is very, very deep rooted. And so I appreciate that sentiment, Jess. We're going to go over to Jessica Hernandez, then we'll go to Damian, and then we're going to talk about the market, you guys. But I'm glad we're here and I'm glad we're on this vein. Let's go, Jessica.
Good morning. I just think it's crazy that we're having this conversation right now. I feel like I'm in alignment because yesterday I just had a Zoom call with a woman who helps teach people how to invest their money into stocks. And I don't know how to do that. I have a few here and there, but it's like I don't I don't know how to do that. And I've seen a lot of agents on social media, like investing their money in different places. And I'm like, well, I want to do that. Like, I want to have something to fall back on, my daughter's college, a retirement fund, just something for myself. And I've been having this conversation with myself lately, and I've been stressing because, yes, I've sold a lot this year. Yes, I made money, but what did I do with that money? Like, I have money saved for my taxes and I have a savings, but I wish that I could have invested some of that money into different things. So that's a conversation that I'm having with myself right now. And it's crazy to hear you talk about it, because this past week, I've just been thinking about ways to diversify my funds. And I don't know, it's a sign. It's like, okay, Jessica, get it together. Like, don't think about the now, think about the future. Like, how am I going to protect myself? How am I going to protect my family in case something were to happen? So I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, you guys, I think that it's important that we bring in, and we'll do this, before tax season. I want to bring in somebody that's going to help us understand S Corps, LLC. I want to bring in somebody that's going to help you understand a Roth IRA. And I want to also share with you guys how you guys can potentially put your children, if you do have children, on your payroll, and how you can help them set up a Roth IRA. And the reason why I want to do this is because it's really, really important. You guys have a propensity to make a lot of money. You literally could sell one house and make 30 G's. Well, that 30 G's can be siphoned out really, really quick. I also want to encourage everybody to get one card that is associated to a completely separate bank account that you run all of your business expenses on. Stop using your debit card. Like, oh shit, I forgot to use my business card. Like, one card that runs everything that is associated to your business. I'm going to also encourage you guys to get yourself a bookkeeper. Now, if you don't have a bookkeeper and you don't have the budget for a bookkeeper, I think it's important that you guys at least use some type of QuickBooks or something to calculate and make sure that you're managing expenses just like you would at a corporation. You guys are running a P&L. So I need you guys to be able to be very clear on your P&L. If I hop on an individual coaching session with one of you, I want to look at your P&L. Right? Show me your P&L. Where are we bleeding? Where is the biggest friction? Where are we having the most profit? And I want you guys to be able to look at that. But if you don't operate from that standpoint, once again, who do I need to be in order to be a top producer, to have millions of dollars worth of income, to have just a diversification? I need to be educated. I need to learn. And so these are the things that I want to help you guys with, because I feel like these are the ways that you're going to feel even more confident as you guys are building and growing. And like I said, maybe that means that you have 10% ownership of an investment property. Shit, I'll take that. Maybe that's $1,000 extra bucks a month. Well, that's $1,000 extra bucks a month, extra dollars a month that pays for, some of my expenses, some of my bills, car note, whatever the case is, you guys. I just want you guys to really think about what this looks like. I'm going to go to Aaron, then we'll go to Demian, then we're going to shift gears. Aaron, I'll put myself on mute and step aside for 1 second, but Aaron, the floor is yours, big dog.
This is a fascinating conversation, and I appreciate it. I would encourage people to, while there is a certain level of I can be better, I can do better, not be too disgusted with yourself, right? I acknowledge that there's places you can grow, and when you're looking in that mirror, yeah, sure, we have internal dialogue that might be like you're not doing enough, but then you can also shift it and say, okay, well, then I'm going to go do it right now. It doesn't take but 5 minutes. And so, again, I encourage everybody, while, you want to be on yourself about growing and being better, give yourself a little grace too. And again, we always, around this time of year, get to a point where we're like, oh, 2026. But I encourage you to, do it each hour, each day, right? Like, I'm at a point, I feel like, where there's things that I know that I'm lacking. But if you look at what I was doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'm eons ahead of where I am. And so I've gotten to the point where I'm shifting away from that next month, that next year, and I'm saying in that next hour, I'm going to be better. In that next day, I'm going to be better. And again, that why, that's beautiful that you guys pointed out that you are the why, because I kind of have been realizing that lately myself. I struggled with the why. Like, it's easy to say family, we got to take care of our kids. We're doing that, especially when you don't have parents around. Like, my dad wasn't around when I was a kid, so I feel compelled to be around for my children, right? But that's not the why. It's just life, and being a kid without a father is probably the why. And so I encourage everybody to give themselves grace, and while you're beating yourself up a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense. And then also with regards to investing, I do invest. I have for a while. EXP will even allow you out of your commission to take a portion of that and put it into, they buy EXP stocks for you from every deal that you close, and it goes into a Morgan Stanley account. And the EXP stock is cool, but I use it to basically, when it goes up, I sell it and then reinvest in other things, your ETFs that track the S&P 500 and things like that. I go to meetups that are investor driven. There's syndications, like Elias was saying. There was a guy named Tyler at a meetup that I was just at on Webster in Oakland. It's the first Wednesday of every month, and you'll meet a lot of people there who are into syndications, where a group of people will go in together and buy an apartment complex or something like that. And so it is opening my eyes to the reality that, you don't have to buy a single family house yourself to have investment properties, to have a stake in that stuff. You can go meet like-minded people, get into contractual syndications where you can do that. And even with regards to stocks, there's called REITs, or real estate investment trusts, where you can just buy shares of this stock and be invested in real estate, whether it's commercial, residential, whatever it may be. And so oftentimes we think of stocks as something that you need to have a lot of money to invest. But the beauty is, like, back in the days when I was first in this, you did have to have money. If you wanted to go on, you had to call it. But now you got Robinhood. You slap $5 in that piece and you can invest it and start making money. And so also think of it like, I don't have to put $100,000 into an account. I can start with $5. I can start with $2. Like, Robinhood literally allows you to take change and basically invest it. And so I would encourage everybody to just start small, like atomic habits. And even with regards to your psyche and your energy, it's okay to be disgusted with yourself and to know that you can be better. But know that you don't have to do something grandiose to take one step forward. A little thing, waking up and going to the gym, talking to yourself positively. Like, you go in the room, you look in that mirror and you say, hey, you need to do better. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And then take a pause, shift, and say, but you can do that. I believe in you. Like, take care of it. And I spend a ample amount of time in my mirror. My middle daughter kind of follows it, but I talk to myself a lot. And in the past, it used to be very negative. It used to be really bad, especially when I was drinking, like Elias pointed out to that. There was a time where I just constantly was drinking and just shitting on myself in the mirror. But one day I realized that it's enough, and it'll be 10 years in 2026. That was when I did that. So again, and even from that, it took little gradual steps. Stopping drinking didn't mean I had a positive attitude. It took 7 more years for me to get to a point where I really started embracing myself and the energy I put into the world, and focusing on my thoughts, and your thoughts basically create your reality. So if you're sitting there thinking positive energy, thinking and believing you can accomplish anything, chances are you are going to accomplish that.
Man, Aaron, just super, super powerful. The reason why this came up, you guys, is because I'm obviously doing my own reflecting. I look at what I do for a living and how I provide for myself and for my family. It is very dependent on me being in places like this, right? Me delivering coaching sessions, working with you guys, delivering, training sessions, traveling. It's very dependent on me. Well, if something happens and I'm not able to have this voice, this energy, this reach, then what happens to our family? And like, that is a nightmare for me, right? It's a nightmare for me. And so in order for me not to live that nightmare, I have to do things to make sure that we are protected and we are diversified in the event that something happens to me. And by the way, you guys, I'm okay. I'm not sick or anything, but I'm just thinking like this because I'm reflecting. It's the end of the year. I just turned 46. I'm having a new baby on the way. So all these things, so I'm reflecting. And I'm also thinking about it as a company too. You see, when I think about our company, Fast Real Estate, I think about this, and at the size that we are, and how many years we've been in business, we're one of the few teams out there that doesn't have ancillary services. And when I think about ancillary services could be title, escrow, it could be lending, it could be insurance, it could be different types of services that we own as a company that allow us to have leverage in the months that maybe the market shifted or it's a little bit slower. So I'm thinking about this on all angles. And so I'm really glad that we're having this high level conscious conversation about this. I'm going to go to one last contribution and we're going to shift gears. I got some stuff I want to share. Is Damian still here? Because he had his hand up. I'm going to make sure I do not miss him. Going once, going twice.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. I was looking for the gym, but I didn't see you. Damian, do me a favor. Just cut your video and then go ahead and share.
Yeah, so I was just, I wanted to touch on what Jess has said earlier. Our nervous systems are built to protect us from things that are dangerous, but I just read this, so I had to share on that point. Sometimes our brains trick us into thinking that some things are bad for us just because we fear it, and it's not necessarily so. So we have to trick our brains in reverse to not be fearful of things that we shouldn't be. So, like, yes, jumping off of out a 3-story window is obviously going to be detrimental, but you knocking on a door may not be as detrimental. So you have to train your brain to not let your nervous system react to things that aren't bad for you, because you'll trick yourself, and you'll trick yourself out of what you need to do.
God, I absolutely love this. You guys, really appreciate your perspective. Really appreciate your vantage point. Before we talk about anything market related, I want to put this back on the screen. I shared this with you guys the other day, but I want to leave this up for just one more second. I want you guys, because there was some people that were not on the call. I want you guys to reflect on this year as we're, getting to the tail end of the year. What lesson actually changed your behavior this year? Whether there's a lesson here, somebody, you attended a mastermind, you sat on someone else's podcast, like what lesson actually changed your behavior this year? And then what worked because you worked? And this is directly tied into Damian, what he always says, work until it work. Like what worked because you actually worked it? I could tell you all day long, use your CRM, but if you didn't actually use the CRM, then it didn't work for you. I could tell you all day long, make video, do this, whatever, make your calls, door knock, use the script. But if you didn't do it, then it didn't work. But like what worked because you actually worked? And I think this last question is really powerful. And I want you to remember this, sit with this and ask yourself this. And I don't need answers now, but what did you hear all year long? But yet you still resisted. But you still resisted. You still said, oh my God, no way, no how. But knowing that if you just did that thing and you hear it all day long, like, God, Elias, I resisted. And then I surrendered to that. And I was able to put my ego aside and do the thing and look at how much I've grown. A lot of times in this business, we have our ego that stands in our way. We want to do it our way without being humble enough to say there might be a better way. And then 2 is we overthink things. As simple as we can keep a message, what happens is that oftentimes you'll take a simple message and then what do? Oh my God, well this, well what if this, and what if this, and what if this, what if this, and I just try to compute and then oh my God, now I'm confused and now what do? I don't do shit. We do that all the time. We overthink. We allow our ego to take the wheel and drive. And so reflect on these things, you guys. I'm just in a place right now where I feel that I'm in a true flow state. And that whole idea from flow state came from a conversation I had with Blessing a few months ago. And so I'm going to go into this really quick. I'm going to talk to you guys about the market and I'm going to get some vantage points from you guys. There's an article out there right now from Housing Wire, and I'll drop it in the chat down below. That way you guys can see this article, watch or listen to this, read this article, and then, put your own perspectives around this. I'm going to put it in the chat down below. Boom, bam. All right. So the article is in the chat below. And thank you guys for lighting up the chat today. There's over 32 messages that I didn't even read. So when we're thinking about your credibility, when we're thinking about your relevancy, and when we're thinking about what you understand about the market conditions, patterns, and nuances, you see, that is a statement that I've said over and over and over again. When somebody talks to me about the market, I'm intelligent enough to have an opinion. And let's go back to that, because I don't expect for you to be an expert in all things. What I expect you to be is educated enough to actually have an opinion. Right? Educated enough to share your opinion with other humans. And even if the opinion differs, it's okay. You can listen to 4 different lenders and they're probably going to have a different opinion and vantage point of how they talk about the market. So I want to read some of this to you because I think it's really important. Why are real estate statistics important for agents? Before we give you the real estate industry stats, we want to provide you a little bit more food for thought about what you can do with them. As mentioned, knowledge is powerful, but there are other ways that you can use these stats to boost your lead generation, nurture market, and street credibility. So when you read this, it's obviously saying the old saying that knowledge is power can be more true, but I think the stats and understanding those stats, how they're fueling and how they're driving your communities, local communities, microclimates within inside the Bay Area, Central Valley, Sacramento, wherever you are on this call, it is really, really important. So here's a couple things that I want you guys to focus on. While you're reading through the stats, think about how you can incorporate these ideas. So gain knowledge and expertise in a specific area and how it compares to the US market overall. I want to push up against this a little bit. I think that it's important that you guys understand the macro climate, right? A macro climate is Sacramento, greater Sacramento. That's a macro climate. A macro climate is the Bay Area. Well, the Bay Area is very, very vast. I believe what is going to sell more in 2026 is your information that is community specific. Hey guys, I want to share with you what's happening in the Laurel, in Diamond, in River Islands, right? I want you guys to be very, very community driven because those stats and figures are going to be vastly different than the whole. We could talk about the local economy. We could talk about the national economy, but now they're rolling in all of these high level stats that skew that average, right? If we talked about the median home price and the sales in the United States of America, that number is probably right around 400,000. That's not applicable to our market. That is a national statistic. So what I want you guys to do is not Bay Area, not Central Valley, not Greater Sacramento. I want you to be community specific and learn about these communities. And so when you start shooting content, when you go onto YouTube in the future and you start creating content about what is it like to live in this zip code, that is going to attract more eyes because that message is more focused and more targeted to a niche audience. So how you confidently answer this question, how's the market? Listen, you guys, that is one of the biggest missed opportunities for us right now as real estate professionals. If you're newer on this call, own that. Own that, how you answer that. Oh, the market's good. It's really hot. Is it? What part of the market are you curious about? Are you interested in buying, renting, investing, or selling? What part of the market are you curious about? Because they're all vastly different. Now, whatever one they say, I'm thinking about investing, I'm thinking about buying, I'm thinking about selling. You need to understand consciously what is happening. Well, if you're not spending the time, 25 minutes a day, Pomodoro effect, reading about the market, you're going to say some weak shit. And when you say weak shit, what happens is the moment you say something that you don't truly believe in because you're not educated enough, your body language changes, your voice or voice tone changes, even if you're not conscious of this. It happens. That's why people can hear when you're fucking lying. You say something that you don't believe in and you're not attached to that, people can hear that. So I want you guys to really understand that knowledge and then compete with other agents by highlighting your knowledge. You see, that agent in said area, they might have been in the business 10 years, but let me tell you about what I understand about what's driving this market right now in the last 30 days. Let me share with you the actual statistics and the reality of what is actually moving the needle in River Islands over the last 30 days. Let me share with you how many houses in this market have listed and sold over asking price in the last 30 days, and the average days on market is 32 days. Let me share with you. Right? Like I want you guys to be able to win. And when you go on listing appointments, when you go on buyer presentations, you bring all the data. Now you might have to temper the data back because you don't have somebody that's analytical, but I'd rather you be over prepared with data, stats, and analytics and then have to taper it down. Right? If it's just a driver type personality, then cool, maybe you taper it down. But you are ready with stats, figures, and data for an engineer. Now, maybe you don't have to go that high level, but you are ready with the stats and figures. Understand client behavior and perceptions, right? I think it's important for us to address. Patty Goodspeed says this the best, like read behind the truth behind the headlines, right? You need to understand what is happening with client behavior, client psychology, who's buying, why they're buying, where they're moving from, where they're moving to. What are the perceptions about the real estate market? What are the misconceptions about the real estate market? And how can you provide color and clarity based on those perceptions or misconceptions about the real estate market? I want you guys to be able to share statistics with clients to educate them and to stay top of mind, right? These are your tidbits. These are your Tuesday tips. These are your Wednesday, words of advice, whatever it is. I want you guys to be able to win your clients by staying top of mind and always being the foremost authority when it comes to education in your communities that you truly want to serve. Post on social media and email to engage your target audience. Well, that's a given, right? And if you're on the call and you're putting a static post up on your wall that is a market stat, that's weak. That's weak. You see, that's content, but I want you to give that context. You see, Christina from the Money Store, if she gave actual context, she gave life to something that is happening, jobs report, Fed rate drop, how that's impacting our interest rates, current interest rates as of today, I would listen to that. But if she just puts a static post up, that's content. Any of you can do that. The real professionals are going to give it context. And there's a big delineation between the two. Add stats to your personal website to build authority and provide value. Obviously, we've been talking about doing a brand audit over the last week. I want you guys to look at your stats on Zillow. I want you guys to look at all of your stats that you guys have public, and start to update all those things. And I want you to look at this article too. This article is a really, really good article, but like I mentioned earlier, median list price of homes in the US is $427. The median list price is $390. That's not applicable to where we are. This is not community specific. It is not neighborhood specific. So I want you to really understand what is driving behavior, what is driving demand in your local markets. And I thought this part of this article was really cool. Let me get out of that. Sorry about that. I think this part of the article is really cool. The age of the home buyers, and you can see here where the biggest demographic lies. And when you're thinking about content and you're thinking about your social connection and when you're thinking about your brand authority, are you speaking to the demographics that are searching right now at the highest level, the people that are buying? Do you have content that is relevant? Do you have content that is speaking directly to those people? Are you going to sites like answerthepublic.com and are you aggregating questions that are most commonly asked by consumers in today's market? Are you putting Bay Area? Are you putting San Leandro? Are you putting Berkeley? Are you putting Natomas? And you're making sure that you're addressing the concerns of a consumer in today's day and age. So we want to make sure that you guys not only understand the data, it's the micro data, and then what do you do with that information and how do you spit game every single time someone talks to you about the market. I don't want you to be in any networking scenario. I don't want you to sit at the Christmas table this year and Uncle fucking Johnny is going to ask you, oh, how's the market? It sucks, doesn't it? No, like you stutter. Uncle Johnny, let me share with you the reality of what's actually happening in the real estate market. That line right there, you guys, sets the tone for you to take control of that conversation. Let me share with you the reality of what's actually happening in the market. And then you spit some fire, but you can only spit fire if you understand the data. You see, there's a contagiousness about passion. If you're passionate about this industry, people are going to feel it. Sparks fly from your mouth. You are teaching when you don't try to teach. You are selling when you don't try to sell, because there is a contagiousness about your passion. Even if other people are not as passionate about what you are, they will feel that sense of energy from you. But that passion is not going to come from you kind of knowing the market, maybe knowing the stats. Yeah, I think it's a great time to buy a house in Berkeley. The fuck? How so? Give me some fucking stats. You guys are all professionals running multi-million-dollar businesses. And let me say that for the people in the back of the room. Multi-million-dollar businesses. You need to know your stats, know your figures, know your data, know the predictability of your own business, but you also need to be able to look at the business, look at the industry through your prism, through your vantage point, through your studying, and saying, how can I articulate this in a way that a consumer can understand it? It is not their responsibility to decipher what is actually happening in the real estate market. It is your responsibility, my friends, to interpret that information in layman's terms so everybody can understand. But they look at you as somebody that is an expert that easily explains information about the market and doesn't complicate things. Does that make sense, everybody? Cool. I dropped that article down below. I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to get some thoughts, get some takeaways, get some insights from you guys, because I want to make sure that the message was clear today. As we talk about the market, I want to give you better framework so you understand how to spit some knowledge about the real estate industry. So I'm going to go around the room, get some thoughts and some takeaways. I'm going to go over to TT. TT, I didn't know your son had such great dance moves. Okay. It's thank you for putting us on game.
He gets it from his mama.
My friend, share with us your thoughts and your sentiment from our call today. Let's go. And then Christina, you are up next, and we'll go to Blessing. We'll get a couple other people contributing. Let's go, TT.
Sure. I'm sorry I was late. I was actually dropping off my dancing son. But there's lots of good information here. I'm sitting here absorbing a lot. I've learned a lot over the last few months. And my takeaway is just how I'm going to prepare for 2026. I definitely want to get more involved in reading the market because I'm in contract with 3 deals. I'm so excited, but I'm so excited. I actually shocked myself, and I think it has a lot to do with how I presented myself to my clients. So everything we're talking about today has a lot to do with it. I mean, I was spitting game like, oh, I know that answer. Come follow me. And they followed me. So my takeaway is just being more prepared, having better systems, a better routine on how you're going to catch yourself up on your microclimate, and presenting yourself as the professional that you are, because you are the professional and we are running multi-million-dollar business, and it's my responsibility to run it efficiently.
Let's go, TT. I appreciate you. David, I'll get to you in just a moment, my friend. Let's go, Christina. Christina, key thoughts, key takeaways from our call today, my friend. Let's go.
Yeah, I love this. This is what I like. My page, my energy, what I preach is put out there what the consumer is going to understand and be able to articulate. You know, we can put facts out there, we can use big words, but if they're not understanding it, skip on to the next, right? They're just not going to build that trust in you. So I would say, as even on the real estate side, I know mortgage can be really intimidating, but just every day, just a couple of new things you guys learn, and just keep that in your head, because you never know when that buyer call is going to be, or when that open house is going to pop up and someone's going to spark conversation. I think definitely, what you were saying is when you speak, wait and listen, watch how the person, say it's a client you're speaking to at an open house. Sometimes we get that know-it-all, right? Someone walks into open house and they think they know it all. They know about rates. They know about the market. They know everything about real estate until you speak some facts to them, and then you stop and you be quiet and watch how they react. And many times, if you spoke something so powerful, they're going to sit back and be like, oh shit, she just called me out. But they're not going to say it. But then they're going to be like, this person knows their stuff. And we probably have all been there, whereas that there's those particular type of people, but that's the type of person you want to be, because then they're going to be like, I'm going to call her or I'm going to call him because they know their shit. So I love this. This is awesome talk. Great takeaway.
Awesome. I appreciate you, my friend. And before we go over to Blessing, I'm going to go up to David. David, you threw your hand up really quick, big dog. Let's get your takeaway and thoughts on the conversation. Let's roll.
Yeah, I was looking at the facts, and I was, or the stats, and then it said that the majority of home buyers are the younger boomers. So I'm trying to get my SOI, which is younger people, to buy. Maybe I should be looking at older people to buy, and most of those older people are on Facebook. So maybe I should market more on Facebook than Instagram, because they're more on Facebook, and it's just cool to see the stats and see what you can switch up to market to the most people who are the most home buyers.
Yeah, and it's even. When you think about your audience, let's just say Instagram. Hey, if you're, if you're thinking about purchasing a house and you are a millennial, then this video is for you, right? If you're a boomer between this age and this age, this video is for you. If you are in this demographic, if you're a younger millennial, this video is for you. So like you can say things in your video that are going to capture that attention of that audience, but it's also being able to be nimble, being able to see what's going to work, what's not going to work, try different things, try some different campaigns throughout the year, and see what's truly going to work. So David, I really appreciate your vantage point on that. Let's go over to Blessing. Key thoughts, key takeaways from our time together today, big dog. Let's roll.
Yeah, it's been a really great conversation that comes full circle. And even when you think about becoming a market expert, like, do you really believe that you can be the source of knowledge that people can trust that? Because if you don't, then you never will. And that confidence that you need to, speak with won't be there. So I think it was Tanisha that said, confidence comes from preparation. And when it comes to studying the market, you don't have to, read every single page of the MLS. You don't have to know everything, but starting off with even 5 minutes, if you don't have a practice of how you read the MLS and the stats, start with 5 minutes and just look at everything that came on the market that went pending and sold in the last week. And if you start from there, like day by day, you'll start to notice the trends. You'll start to open up that portal and like become a little bit more curious. But it does start with that commitment or that question. Do you believe that you can? And is that part of your 2026 goal? So starting there and then falling in love with, looking at the MLS daily, looking at articles, and actually committing to being that knowledge expert. It is a choice. It's not glamorous. It's not sexy, but it will give you that confidence to be able to speak with some authority when you do, meet that person that wants to throw a negative headline your way. So great conversation, great reminders as always.
I appreciate you, my friend, really do. And Blessing reached out to me the other day. She's like, can I help out more in coaching and on a certain day? And I'm all for it. I'm all for it, but it's like, you got to shoot your shot and you have to ask. And I love the contribution. You guys, before we head out, I'm going to play something for you guys. I typically don't play videos, but I'm going to share this with you because this is something I'm really, really stoked about. I want to share with you guys the new promo reel for Intensity. Some of you have completed Intensity in the past. And so I want to share this with you guys really quick. I'm going to make sure I turn up all my sound. And I want to share this with you because it's a big deal. 2 new coaches involved in Intensity. So let me play this for you guys right now. Boom, bam. And I'm going to launch this today. So I just want to share this with you guys. First,
about how Intensity combines 3 pivotal pieces to success. One is motivation. But motivation without knowing what to do is useless. So we tell people what they have to do and how to do it. And third, accountability. If you're not held accountable to those things, nothing's going to actually change.
I plan to bring heart, soul, passion. I love accountability. I love showing up for people. I love watching people compound wins into massive success. If you're giving it your all, we're giving it all.
Intensity is for anybody that wants to elevate their life, business, health, and relationships. So if that speaks to you, sign up for this program. No excuses.
No bullshit.
Results only.
What do you guys think? Pretty damn good trailer, right? So you guys, I'm really, really excited. I got 2 of my good homies in the business that run very, very high level teams. And so if you guys haven't signed up for Intensity, do so. If you're on the team, there is no charge for you. If you are not on the team, yes, there's some skin in the game. However, I promise you, you will get your money's worth from this program. But to have 2 different perspectives now on the call with us, it's really, really going to be different. It's going to have a different feel, a different energy. I'm going to post that down in the chat down below. Listen, even if you are signing up and you're on the team and it's free for you, don't even click the link if you're not willing to commit. If you're not going to see the program through, don't even step on the field if you're not willing to get your jersey dirty and commit for 6 weeks. I'm asking for 6 weeks for you to run perfection. That's it. 6 weeks. Don't even step into the arena if you're not ready to throw those things. So you guys, I'm excited. Did the video turn out all right? There's a couple of revisions I'm making, but I feel it feels intense, right? It feels very intense. And so I'm really excited to launch that, you guys. So listen, if you need anything, I'm always here for support. I'm going to come home today from Arizona, but I'm really looking forward to just kind of, settling in for next week and celebrating Christmas with the family. And, just a lot of things to be grateful for. So you guys, wonderful conversation today. Thank you for being present. Thank you for being here. And as always, my friends, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and make today a day that really matters. Peace, my friends.